What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this video, we're going to be looking at 3 takeaways from Game 1 of the American League Championship Series between the New York Yankees and the Houston Astros. There's no doubt that both sides had some opportunities to really blow the game open. Neither side really did so in terms of a big outburst offensively. But there were some things that we discussed on this game for the New York Yankees and for the Houston Astros. So let's begin with the first takeaway. Now, the first takeaway has seemingly felt like a sense of deja vu. As we've been here before, it's another instance of bullpen mismanagement. Whether it's Aaron Boone making the decisions or the front office having dictated what decisions are to be made, there's no doubt about it that the Yankees' usage of their relievers yesterday made absolutely less than no sense. Less than no sense is what was made of those bullpen decisions. The New York Yankees got a very good start, a very impressive start from Jameson Taillon. I think that when you look at the fact that he had not pitched in so long, that you weren't sure what you were going to expect from him. He would give the Yankees 4 1/3 with 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, no strikeouts. But it was a solid enough start. You know, and when you think about the fact that he was going up against a legend like Justin Verlander, you had to assume that Verlander was going to hold the Yankees down. And he very much so did. Through Verlander's 6 innings, he allowed only 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, at 11 strikeouts. So for Taillon, it was a very good start. For the Yankees, however, the bullpen mismanagement was absolutely ridiculous. Instead of going to your high leverage relievers, Boone seemingly punted the game away for whatever reason. I have no understanding of what Boone's thought process was in terms of the relievers that he selected. He made one right move, and that was the pitcher that pitched the least. In this game, the Yankees would go to Clark Schmidt, who would immediately get into trouble, get himself out of it, thankfully, with a big-time ground ball double play. But then Boone tried to get cute. He tried to, as he always does, think about tomorrow before figuring out today. And the simple fact is that you cannot play for tomorrow when you're in the postseason. You just can't do it. Because the simple fact is that while, yes, we are guaranteed to have 4 games at minimum in this championship series, there's no guarantee of tomorrow. Because when you look at the way that this series can go with the strength of the Houston Astros, the Yankees could be out of it within 4 games, and it's going to be absolutely nothing to use your high leverage relievers in losing situations. The Yankees will try to get cute, bring in Clark Schmidt for an extra inning of work to try to get them through the 5th, and he would give up back-to-back home runs. Clark Schmidt would pitch an inning, give up 2 hits, like I said, those 2 home runs, walk 2 guys. This was not a player you expected to see pitch in this series unless the score was quite lopsided one way or the other. I did not expect to see Clark Schmidt in Game 1 of the ALCS. And again, I think that Clark Schmidt can be some group with some help, with some mentoring, with figuring out his real stuff and his strategies on the mound. He can be a good pitcher. He can be molded into that. This was not the series to put him out in Game 1. He would then serve up those 2 home runs. Boone would then go to Lou Trevino, who pitched 2/3 of an inning and got himself a strikeout. And one of your high leverage relievers, one of your best relievers, pitched the least of anybody in the game for the Yankees yesterday. After that, they would go to Frankie Montas. At this point, it was a 3-1 game before Montas got brought into the game. And I made the point on Twitter, you should not be bringing in starters to face the Houston Astros. They're not relievers. They don't have the same mentality coming out of the bullpen as they do when they start. You also are bringing in Frankie Montas, who hasn't pitched in a game in a month. And you expect him to be sharp. You expect him to give you outs in a very critical game against a very dangerous team. Was not the case. Montas would serve up a home run and it would make the score 4-1 at that point. The Yankees would then go to Miguel Castro, who had a solid 9th inning. 1 inning of work. The simple fact is that bullpen mismanagement has been a problem from day one of this Aaron Boone tenure. And it may not be Boone making these calls ultimately on his own. It may be that he's told from the front office, from the analytical staff, from Brian Cashman, these are the relievers you have to go to today. This is when you can use them. This is how you can use them. It may not be on Boone. But the simple fact is that Boone is the front man for said decisions. All of which last night were curious, except for Lou Trevino. And the fact that we would get, I think, 7 pitches out of Trevino. The fact that we literally had one of our best relievers have the least amount of pitches is an absolute joke. There's no doubt about it that this team that the Yankees are facing in the Houston Astros are a dominant powerhouse. And to hold them to just 4 runs is a testament to the talent coming out of the Yankee bullpen and the Yankee starters. But you cannot expect to hold the Houston Astros to just 4 runs a game. So the old adage of win or go home needs to be implemented. A winner-take-all strategy, a game 5, or in this series, a game 7 mentality has to be had with the bullpen usage from day 1. So for the rest of this series, I don't want to see these low-leverage guys. I don't want to see Frankie Montas coming into the game out of the bullpen. High leverage relievers, do exactly what you did with Wandy Peralta in the division series, use him all 5 games. It is extremely critical because there's no tomorrow when it comes to dealing with the Houston Astros. There's very little question that they are the better team right now. The Yankees have an opportunity, but the Astros are far better, and their bullpen management dictated exactly that. Dusty Baker was using his high leverage guys. Yes, they had a lead, but he also used them when he didn't have the lead, when it was a 1-1 game. He also, Brian Presley, when he needed 4 outs, something that the broadcast brought up, the fact that he did not do this regularly. He did it one other time, and it was back in June or July. So this wasn't a regular thing for Dusty Baker to do in terms of high leverage guy, his maximum out guy, his closing pitcher for 4 outs. It's not a regular thing for him, but he did it. Why? Because game 1 is important. Every win in the postseason is of the utmost importance, and Dusty Baker did exactly that. He had better bullpen management, and that's why they won the game. Now, the second takeaway that I have, and this is kind of an ongoing thing for me, an ongoing issue for Yankee universe, is that we would see exactly how a organization that is competently run looks and evaluates their own players. And when they evaluate their players for their team, not just as trade assets. I think that the Yankees do a very good job of developing their young players, of developing their talent, but I think they do so almost in an effort to trade them away. And we would see with the Astros, Jeremy Pena is a beast. The Astros would lose out on one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball today in Carlos Correa. And they didn't skip a beat. There's an argument to be made that Jeremy Pena could be the Rookie of the Year in the American League. We know that award's likely going to Julio Rodriguez, but he very well could have a case for that award. If you look at what this young man coming up in his rookie season was able to do, he helped stabilize a World Series perennial contender in the Astros. There could have been a season of influx, a season of wonder when it came to one of the most important positions on your team. But he locked it down. And the simple fact is that while this may seem like a novel concept to the New York Yankees this season, you have a real shortstop superstar in the waitings in Oswaldo Peraza. And Oswaldo Peraza putting roster for this ALCS. Why did you put him on if you aren't going to use him properly? We would see that IKF was benched in the final two games of the division series. And here we are, game one of the championship series, which has even bigger ramifications, because if you win this series, you go to the World Series, a place the Yankees haven't been since 2009. You have IKF starting at shortstop. He wasn't able or good enough to be on the starting lineup in the winner go home game 4 and the winner go home game 5. You had Oswaldo Cabrera start. You now put Peraza on the roster and then find yourself leaving him on the bench. There's no doubt about it that when you have young, talented players who are cost control, because that's exactly what these rookie shortstops are in terms of Cabrera and Peraza for the Yankees, they're going to be your future. IKF is not that guy. I said it in my review, my 3 takeaways from, I believe, game 3 of the division series. IKF stands for I know failure. And there's no doubt about it that the failure is in the front office and in Boone and his coaching staff for putting IKF in the lineup. Because this is not a player that you can truly count on in big moments. We would see him make a play, make a throw from third base that one barely got there, to the point where the broadcast team, who, another story for another time, but the broadcast team would make reference to his arm and potentially being hurt because of the diminished velocity and the angles with which he's throwing the ball. And if we get an offseason report like we got from DJ LeMahieu last year about offseason surgery to correct some things, we'll know. But the simple fact is that you have 2 legitimate stars in the making. Oswaldo seems to come up huge in just about every game he plays. Peraza was one of your best young players in the minor leagues. and you're not giving them the opportunity. Again, competency from an organizational standpoint is night and day right now with these two teams. When you look at the way that the bullpen was run and the fact that the Astros had the strength, the fortitude, the understanding of their own player to have Jeremy Pena penciled in from day one, because honestly, and we would hear a wonderful story about Carlos Correa telling Pena that this is going to be your team next year. And you go get it and get it done. And that's exactly what the Astros did. They put Pena in at shortstop and did not deviate. And you see he had a very good season. Coming up clutch right now for the Astros in the postseason. So having a talented rookie is not a detriment, New York. It's a blessing. But you have to have the strength to be able to put him in the position to be able to succeed. And in turn, help your team succeed. So that brings us to the third and final takeaway, and it's kind of been run throughout here, but the Astros take game one. 4-2 was the final. The Yankees would try to make some semblance of a comeback in the ninth. Anthony Rizzo would hit a home run, a solo shot to get us to within 2. But the Yankees ultimately faltered. And now they go into game 2 today. And I believe is a must-win situation, because you do not want to go back home to the Bronx being down 2-0. The Houston Astros are too difficult of a team, too dangerous of a team. And while the Yankees have had a lot of success against Houston in the Bronx, by not splitting in Houston now, by not taking one of these first 2 games, you force New York to have to come back to Houston if they want to win. And that's assuming if you drop these first 2 games to the Astros in Houston, that you sweep all 3 in the Bronx. You still have to win one of the next final 2 to be able to advance past Houston. It's been said before, it'll be said again, but the World Series runs through Houston. There's no doubt about it. If you can pull off a series split in these first 2 games, if you can pull off a victory in game 2, you now have the opportunity to run the table in New York. You are favored and be able to advance without having to come back to a place that has more painful memories than anywhere else for the New York Yankee fans, especially recently. I almost feel like the Yankees played themselves out of this series when it comes to playing in Houston based on the last several matchups that we've had. The thing is this is a different team. There's a different opportunity and a different feeling with this squad. But when it comes to playing the Astros in October, it seems like a much more sense of deja vu. But the Yankees can change that with a win tonight. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings down in the comment section below. Yankee fans, how are you feeling about our chances here going into game 2? How are you feeling about the series overall? Let me know your thoughts, your feelings on it down in the comments, or find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball, and we can keep the conversation rolling. We have our new partner for the channel, Lids. So if you click the link down in the description, the show notes below, you can use the promo code LIDS25 to save 25% off your order. Keep it locked in to the Baseball Banter Broadcast by checking out our merch shop at baseballbanterbroadcast.com. You can use the promo code BANTER for 5% or JUDGE or MVP for 10% off your order. Keep it locked in to our entire GLMG family with We Sibs, The Granite Geek Show, and of course here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast by hitting the subscribe button on all 3 channels. Keep it locked in all season as we continue to look at the postseason, each and every single game, as well as the latest news, notes, and my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions on the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.